vapor blasting or aluminum wheel cleaner and some elbow grease to clean these aluminum frames. In this video, I'm going to be comparing which method works best. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Greg Hitchko, and for those of you who are new, my channel specializes in dirt bike builds, moto how-tos, and product reviews. But in this video specifically, I'm gonna be testing out two different methods to clean up these aluminum frames. So for the throwback two-stroke garage build shootout that you guys may be familiar with, I have all of the last gen Japanese two-stroke models, and two of them are steel framed and two of them are aluminum framed. So I've got an 05 YZ250 here and an 04 CR250 aluminum frames. I need to get these things cleaned up for the project, looking brand new again, and I'm gonna be comparing two methods today to get that done for you guys. So for the 2005 YZ250, I'm first gonna be using my Weekend Warrior Vapor Blaster to get this thing cleaned up, shined up, and looking brand new. Then I'm gonna be comparing that to the 04 CR250 frame, a little bit more old school method using aluminum wheel cleaner, scotch brite pads, PRYME pads, and a Dremel tool to get this thing looking brand new again. At the end of this little experiment, I want to compare the ease of it, how long it took, and overall which one looks better. So starting with these frames, I've already done the dirty work using some simple green, a pressure washer, a little bit of elbow grease to get these things cleaned up. But here's where the attention to detail comes in to get them looking like they just came off the showroom floor. So first up is this Yamaha frame. Checking out the down tube right now, we see some black scuffs on the frame, a little bit of pitting right there. Coming down to the inside of the frame spars here, I'm really hoping the Vapor Blaster is gonna get that all cleaned up with ease for me. Up by the engine hanger here, you can see some more of that aluminum pitting, and then the details where the bolts go through, they're just a little bit grimy. Coming to the other side of the frame now, it's really in not that bad condition. So enough looking at it, time to get this thing thrown in the Vapor Blaster. And luckily this thing just fits in there. All right, guys, I got this thing all rinsed down. How about we get this thing out and take a look at it? I am pumped to see it because I think it's gonna look sweet. Fresh out of the Vapor Blaster, guys. What I'm gonna do now is spray it down with the air gun, blast out any water or abrasive that might be left inside those bolt holes, dry it all up, and then we can take a look at it. Finally got this thing dried out, so check it out, guys. The results of vapor blasting the YZ250 frame. Let me tell you, I'm pretty pumped about how easy it was. Total time, it probably took me about half hour, maybe 40 minutes. The one thing that was difficult is that the Weekend Warrior Vapor Blast cabinet was actually a little bit tight, but I was able to maneuver around the frame just fine. And as you can see here, the results are something else. So switching over to the CR250 frame now, like I said, I've already got it cleaned of the dirt and grease. And now it's really time to get to the detail cleaning with this aluminum wheel cleaner or mag wheel cleaner. And use a combination of a scotch brite pad, a couple brushes. This is kind of a softer bristle brush. This is a stiffer bristle brush. I've got actually a wire brush and two wired tube brushes to kind of get in between where the bolts go and everything. So the combination of these tools here is going to get me the majority of the way there. And then for all the harder to get places, I'm going to break out the Dremel. You can really attack this frame any way you want, but I'm gonna start from the head tube down, and then I'm also gonna work from the insides out and then hit the outside of the frame here last. Also, don't forget to wear your sweet rose-petaled gloves when you're doing this because the aluminum wheel cleaner is pretty nasty. It's a good idea to use the wire brush in more of these stubborn areas. I found that the scotch brite pad is pretty versatile. You always want to be going in the same direction when you're using it though. So here I'm going kind of like the long way of the frame rails here. You don't want to be going like this against the grain. You kind of want to be going with it. So on the head tube here, there seems to be a little bit of pitting that I'm struggling to get off. So I'm just gonna keep scrubbing with the aluminum wheel cleaner, see if I can get that off. This just does not seem like it wants to come off. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring it inside and see if I can hit it with the Dremel or a couple PRYME wheels to completely get that pitting out. Let's finally get these big side frame spars cleaned up, hit it with the aluminum cleaner, and then take that Scotch Brite and rub it lengthwise. Again, you don't wanna be rubbing it side to side, kind of go with the frame spar here, and just rub and rub and rub until it looks brand new. All right guys, that's the best I'm gonna do with the aluminum cleaner. It looks damn good compared to the way it was, but I definitely know we can get this thing looking even better. So let's take it into the garage. I'm gonna throw some PRYME pads on it, take the Dremel to it, and really, really get this thing shined up. So we got the frame back in the garage, and like I said outside, I know we can make this thing look way better. So I got a Dremel and 2 die grinders with a couple different PRYME pads on them. So the Dremel here all the way to the right, it's got this little wire brush wheel on it. Then I've got the die grinder in the middle here with a small fine PRYME pad, and then I got the die grinder on the left side here with a fine PRYME flap wheel. So spots that I'm gonna clean up with the frame that I really couldn't get outside, we're gonna be like this black grime here on the outside and inside of where the subframe and shock bolt into. There's a little bit of pitting where the linkage goes through. Looks like I can clean up the inside of those frame spars too. So a little bit of work here, spend a little bit more time on it. I probably spent about an hour and 15 minutes outside scrubbing the crap out of this thing, and happy the way it turned out, but like I said, let's get this thing looking way better. This attachment here is a little more cupped. You know what? Why don't we break out the bench buffer, throw the fine wheel on the sides of the frame here, see what kind of damage we can do. All right, so that kind of left us with a super shiny, uneven finish, but now what I'm gonna do is take one of the PRYME pads themselves, rub it across the frame like this, get that brush look back into it, but after I get it brushed with the PRYME pad, man, this thing is gonna be looking so good. All right, so I finished up brushing the side spars of the frame here. So this little spot right here where my finger is, that looks like it's where the shroud was sitting. It kind of wore into the aluminum frame a little bit, but what I ended up doing was also taking the PRYME pad and just scuffing up the rest of the frame, brushing it up nice. We got to get this thing outside and see how good it looks in the sun. Okay, we are outside checking out the comparison between the old school version of cleaning up an aluminum frame compared to vapor blasting on the YZ. I gotta say, I'm stoked about how both of these came out. What do you guys think? CR has the aluminum cleaner with some PRYME wheels and those wire brush heads for the Dremel, and then the YZ frame is just all vapor blasted. It's really hard to tell which did a better job. I mean, comparing them both together, the vapor blasting method was definitely the quicker method, only lasting me about 40 minutes in the vapor blaster, whereas the old school method of scrubbing and some elbow grease took almost about 3 hours. So you guys can be the judge of that, but here, circling around these frames, it is just insane how clean they are. Getting inside the frame spars here of the CR250 compared to that of the YZ250. Here are the frame rails of the YZ250. Compare that to the frame rails of the Honda. They're obviously a little bit different frame. We've got the down tube on the YZ where the tank goes over it, compared to the wraparound frame of the Honda. Man, it just looks so good. So definitely leave a comment below for me, guys, because I want to know what you guys think, either the vapor blasting method or the old school elbow grease method of getting these aluminum frames cleaned up, but man, it is hard for me to choose which one I like better. All right guys, so getting these frames up means we're one step closer to starting to put these bikes back together for the throwback two-stroke garage build shootout, and I absolutely cannot wait for that. If you can't wait either, make sure you punch the like button, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned on the progress of these bikes, and once these guys are built and sitting on the stands next to each other, it's gonna be insane. As always, if you guys are interested in any of the tools today, like the Dremel, the PRYME pads, etc., those are all linked in my description below, and don't hesitate to leave a comment below if you have any questions about any of the processes that I use today as well. I can definitely help you guys out with that. But as always guys, ride hard, be safe. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.